Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the second ever Swank Tank episode. I am your host, Ryan Swankowski. Thank you all for being here. If you are here live, watching live on YouTube, I believe TikTok as well. If you're watching this later on YouTube or listening on podcast version on Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening, I appreciate you so much. Welcome into the show. We have the NFC Championship analysis for you. We have the AFC Championship analysis for you. Definitely an episode you don't want to miss. So again, appreciate you being tuned in. The Voice. Got The Voice checked out today by a doctor, and we are good to go. No problems with the voice box. Just maybe thought I popped a blood clot or, had some bruising around there. I haven't had the full voice in about 3 weeks or so, as you can probably tell. So I'll keep talking at a regular level, trying to pronunciate as well as I can. But the voice is coming back slowly but surely. I'm going to get on a little bit of medicine, help me heal up. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Welcome into the show. And the voice, hopefully next week we'll be back. Next week, you'll see I got a slide for it. Super Bowl special edition. I want Connor Burns to come on with me. I'm going to reach out to him. We'll see what we can do. So next week's episode, don't want to miss that one. It's our Super Bowl special. We'll have predictions, analysis, deep dive. It's going to be like 30 to 45 minutes long. Similar to this one. This one's going to be around 30 to 45 minutes long. And you don't want to miss that one next week. So if you're listening or, watching here live, today's show, we got the AFC Championship analysis, NFC Championship analysis. We're going to do a deep dive into both of these games, what led to the Eagles' success, the Commanders' downfall, vice versa with the Chiefs' success, the Bills' quote-unquote downfall. Josh Allen, of course, and the Bills not able to get it done against Kansas City in Arrowhead. I'm also ashamed, not necessarily ashamed, but sad that it is no longer called Arrowhead. Again, air quotes, it's called Arrowhead, but the stadium name itself is not Arrowhead. What are we doing, people? What are we doing? It should be Arrowhead. I mean, that's just iconic. It's iconic. Also, great teams just know how to win. We're going to get to that. All right, let's get to it. First order of business, I got to show up my stat sheet over here if you're watching in on YouTube or watching live as well. All right, let's do it. Josh Allen, 22 of 34 for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. Phenomenal numbers. No interceptions, as you can see from Allen there, which is huge. James Cook, 13 carries, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cook, back-to-back games versus the Chiefs with 2+ touchdowns. Mac Hollins, only 3 catches, but 73 yards and 1 touchdown for the Bills. Going over to the winning side of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, 18 of 26, 245 yards, 1 touchdown through the air, but 3 total. He ran for 2 touchdowns in this game. Kareem Hunt, 17 carries, 64 yards, and 1 touchdown. Xavier Worthy, probably the most important piece to this puzzle of this game. 6 receptions, 85 yards, and 1 touchdown. So before I get into my main points, just looking at the stat sheet, Chiefs win 32-29, over hits, Chiefs money line hits, and I believe they cover as well. Main takeaways here from the stat sheet: Allen, no interceptions. Flip side, Mahomes, no interceptions. Mahomes did indeed have a fumble, the 1 turnover of the game. So the Bills won the turnover battle and yet still lost. Very interesting. James Cook having a productive day on the ground for the Bills. Mac Hollins here. Yeah, here's what comes to mind now for the Buffalo Bills. Looking at this game and now looking at their future for the 2025 season in the draft. You go out, you get, number 1 wide receiver, first-round guy in Keon Coleman, and you trade it back where you could have drafted Xavier Worthy, and then the Chiefs move up and grab him, or whatever it was. You could have had Worthy. You don't. You move back, and you get Keon Coleman. And I don't hate that. I'm not trying to say that Keon Coleman's a bad player. I think Keon Coleman will be a very good wide receiver in this league. I don't know if he's going to be a bona fide top 10 guy ever or anytime soon. I bring up Keon Coleman, main point being, where is Keon Coleman in this game? Throughout the season, he was utilized sparingly. I don't know if his chemistry with Allen wasn't quite there. I don't know if there's just other weapons Allen wants to be focusing on, like Mac Hollins, who's not wide receiver 1 or 2. Um, you know, where is Amari Cooper? Where is Keon Coleman in this game? They needed to be utilized more. And I think throughout the season as well. I think that was kind of a big theme for the Bills was they had a lot of weapons, but they had nobody that could absolutely take the top off you. Given in that wide receiver room. Like Keon Coleman is fast, but he's a rookie. He's not quite there yet. I wanted to see him be more involved. Amari Cooper was a top 10 guy 3 years ago, 5 years ago. You go and get him, you trade for him, before the deadline, and he's not doing what you really expected him to do. At least in my standards, he's not. Amari Cooper was supposed to come in and be your certified wide receiver 1 in the crunch, can make that catch, can make those big time plays for you. And I don't know if it was scheme. I don't know if they were avoiding Trent McDuffie, which is a possibility. But I wanted to see Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman get more involved in this game. And they really weren't that much. Cooper had a few catches. Coleman, I don't even remember how many catches he had, in all honesty. That's my takeaway here, looking at Mac Hollins leading the team in receiving yards, is that I wanted to see Cooper and Coleman get more involved. That's my big takeaway there. I don't know what the Bills do this offseason regarding the receiver room. I don't know Cooper's deal. I know obviously Coleman is the rookie. I need to see more from him. I need to see more. He had a good season. He didn't have a great season for how high of a pick he was. So we'll see with him. But I need to see more from him. In my personal opinion, if you're going to be drafted that high, you need to have more of an impact, especially down the stretch in games like these. No, I'm not trying to take away anything from Mac Hollins here. Mac Hollins is very talented wide receiver. And he made some very big catches and plays in this game with 73 yards and a touchdown. But you go draft a guy like Coleman. You go get a guy before the deadline like Cooper for games like this. You load up for games like this. The Bills can never get over that hump, the hump being the Kansas City Chiefs. You go get guys like that to help you. I don't think they utilize them to the best of their ability, or if they tried to, it just didn't work out. And that's probably Spagnuolo having something to do with that for sure. The defensive mastermind back there. And I do think part of it is avoiding Trent McDuffie. Phenomenal corner for them. There's a lot that plays into it, but I would have liked to see Cooper and Coleman get more involved. That's just first look at the stat sheet going into that. On the Chiefs side of the ball, excuse me while I fix my hair for everybody watching. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, guys. It's too long. It's too long. It's annoying. All right. Chiefs side of the ball, 2 noticeable observations. 3. We'll go with 3. 1, Mahomes rushing touchdowns. 2 rushing touchdowns for Mahomes. You tell me that before the game, I'll tell you Chiefs win. I would. I would tell you straight up. Oh, he's going to run for 2 touchdowns? Yeah, they'll win. Xavier Worthy stepping up the way he did. The stat sheet is good for him. 6 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. That's great. It's really good. But if you were watching the game, you watched this game, you know his impact was bigger than the stat sheet. Making jukes, making plays that only really him can make with that speed, that agility, that quickness. Down the sideline for his first touchdown, extending the ball, juking out the defender out of his cleats a little bit, diving for the pylon like that. That's an Xavier Worthy style play. Swing it out to him, give him some space, let him do what he does best. Use his speed, use that athleticism, show the world, the NFL playoffs, everybody watching, why he is the fastest NFL player ever, based off the combine, and use him like that. So I think the Chiefs did. Their game plan was get Worthy in space. They did that. They utilized Worthy a lot this game, and his impact was tremendous. Point 2 being Travis Kelce's impact was not. So when Kelce doesn't step up, who does? Xavier Worthy. That is why they go and draft a guy like him. On the flip side, right, going back to what I said about the Bills, this is what I'm talking about here. It's the parallels of rookie wide receivers and wide receiver cores. The guys in that wide receiver room for Buffalo didn't do what I expected them to do to a certain degree, and the Chiefs did it more than what I expected them to do to a certain degree from the wide receiver standpoint, especially Worthy. Kelce, 2 catches for 19 yards in the playoffs, probably his worst ever playoff game. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But to his standards, not good. And they still won. You have your, quote, best receiver be held to 2 catches and 19 yards, and you beat the Buffalo Bills yet again in the AFC Championship. Xavier Worthy stepped up in a big time way. They utilized him in a massive way here. I mean, you can see my jacket. Hook 'em horns. I mean, just phenomenal performance from him. And I would not be surprised if in the Super Bowl he gets a touchdown as well. So that's just first thoughts looking at the stat sheet there again. Chiefs win 32-29. They are heading to the Super Bowl. All right, next slide here. Look at this excellent graphic I made. All right, let's dive into this. I'm sure some of you saw this on ESPN, maybe. I saw this today and I was like, gotta talk about this. Look at these great graphics we're printing out over here. All me back here, guys. If you are out there watching and are a producer or a graphic maker or interested in any of this stuff, interested in working with me, just reach out to me. Reach out to me. Let's get in contact here. We'd love some help. But that being said, Stephen A. Smith, quote, looking at this game, Bills versus Chiefs, his crime is that he, referencing Josh Allen, is not Patrick Mahomes. Stephen A. Smith, everybody from ESPN. Stephen A., love what you do. I think you do a phenomenal job over at ESPN. But his crime is that Josh Allen, is not Patrick Mahomes. I completely disagree. I don't even know what you're really getting at here. His crime is that Josh Allen is not Patrick Mahomes. What does this even mean exactly? If you're watching or listening out there, please think to yourself, what does this quote mean? Does it mean he's not clutch enough? Does it mean that it's Josh Allen's fault that he is not Patrick Mahomes? Very ambiguous, diluted quote here that can be interpreted in many different ways. And I just don't love this. I wanted to include this in the show to say his crime is that he is not Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen's playoff stats. Let's go. Against Mahomes, he's 0-4. The Bills moved to 0-4 under Josh Allen against the Kansas City Chiefs. Terrible. And they've been so close so many times. Will the day ever come where they beat them? I don't know. Probably. I thought it was going to be Sunday. It was not. 0-4 record. He's got 1,039 passing yards, 9 passing touchdowns to 1 pick. 9-to-1 ratio with those passing yards. He's throwing like a little over 250 a game. I mean, with 1 interception, these are great numbers. And these aren't even including the rushing numbers on Josh Allen. He is performing very well, especially against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been playing very, very good football, especially the last 2 times that he has lost to them. We all know the game where he never got the ball back in overtime. Obviously, we know this game. Going back to the Stephen A. quote, his crime is that he is not Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's his crime. Why would that be his crime? Josh Allen is his own player. He is unique to himself. He can do things that Patrick Mahomes can't, at least not to the same level, and vice versa. Patrick Mahomes can do things that Josh Allen can't, not to that same level, right? That doesn't make it a crime to me, in my opinion. Josh Allen, I think, has a stronger arm. I think is more mobile. He's got a bigger frame, meaning if he's out in open space, look out. He can run you over. There's things Josh Allen can do that are better than Patrick Mahomes. To me, Josh Allen's crime is that, to me, it's not a crime that Josh Allen is not Patrick Mahomes. And Stephen A. Smith is saying that it is. To me, the true crime is that he's facing him. That he faces a guy like Patrick Mahomes, how elite of a quarterback he is. The problem is not that Josh Allen is not Patrick Mahomes. The problem is that he's facing him at this stage in Patrick Mahomes' career. He's almost unbeatable. He's 17-3 in the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. He's 17-3. Do you know the only guy, active quarterback, who's beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? You probably do. You do. Joe Burrow, who people think is going to be the MVP this year. MVPs don't miss the playoffs. I'll just leave it at that. But the only guy to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs as an active quarterback is Joe Burrow. He's 17 Mahomes, he's 17-3 in the playoffs. To me, it's not a crime that Josh Allen is not Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen is good enough to win a Super Bowl. He is good enough to lead his team to wherever he wants to take them. Sadly, they fall short again, but not due to his poor performance. How about due to a blitz coming on fourth down that couldn't be picked up? Air quotes around picked up. Some people think so. Um, he is not the problem. That's not a crime. That's not a crime. The crime is that he's got to face the freaking Kansas City Chiefs every year, it seems like. And with Andy Reid, with Travis Kelce, with Steve Spagnuolo, they're almost unbeatable, especially at their home. So, no, it's not a crime that he's not Patrick Mahomes. The crime is that he's going to face Patrick Mahomes. Personal opinion. All right. Again, Allen, 0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs. Again, that does not mean I'm blaming him for the losses. Just saying he's never beaten them yet. Keyword, maybe yet. I'm sure the time will come. Right now, it's not. Right now, it's not. All right. Well, last week, I talked about what's my next slide here? I forget. What is my next slide here? Here we go. We'll stay here. I know this photo probably hurts some of the eyes of the Bills fans out there. If you're listening on audio, it is Josh Allen's fourth down attempt that was called short. But I got some other points first. Last week, I said the Bills had to pick off Mahomes to win or to have a very great chance at winning. They did not pick off Mahomes. And that's such a hard thing to do in the playoffs, yet alone the AFC Championship. He had 2 picks in any AFC Championship. He still has 2 picks in all of his AFC Championships combined. 7 games now, 2 picks. That's it. And they couldn't do it. They got the fumble, which is great. The only turnover of the game. They won the turnover battle 1-0. Got Mahomes to fumble. I said they need a pick to win this game or to have a better chance at winning for sure. And it didn't happen. Did not happen. It's hard to do. Let's see if the Eagles can pick off Mahomes. I think yes. Maybe. Will be CJ Gardner-Johnson. Man, we got some good stuff on him later. Stay tuned for that. We got some really good stuff on him later. One of my biggest takeaways from this game, I'm going to go back to the stat sheet real quick. And I kind of, mentioned it a little bit here. Was Mahomes able to scramble? So as you can see, he threw for 1 touchdown, but he ran for 2 more. Mahomes had 43 rush yards against the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. Mobility was an issue, it seemed like all night for the Bills defense, giving Patrick Mahomes the ability to scramble, get outside the pocket, move around like he does best. Those 43 yards are his most through his last 7 games. So of his last 7, this was the most rushing yards he's had. And major takeaway from this game, maybe not talked about enough, was Mahomes' ability to scramble. And so that played a major factor, not only given the touchdown areas for Mahomes, given 2 touchdowns on the ground, but his ability to extend plays, confuse defenses, get outside the pocket. I mean, he's dangerous all over the field, especially when he gets outside that pocket. He's going to pitch it. He's going to tuck it. He's going to chuck it. You don't know what he's going to do. In this game, he was able to scramble on you and get some valuable rush yards and some valuable points. Mahomes, again, 43 rushing yards on the game, his most in his last 7 games this season. We already mentioned Kelce, shut down, 2 receptions for 17 yards. We'll see what he does against the Eagles. I expect a bigger game from him. Again, Super Bowl episode coming next week. Deep analysis. It's going to be phenomenal. Don't want to miss it. But Mahomes' ability to scramble was such a big takeaway from this game and why the Kansas City Chiefs won, even though Kelce was shut down in return. So 2 very different and interesting points there. But again, Mahomes' legs, I mean, just what can't this guy do, man? He's unbelievable. He's the best quarterback in the NFL for a reason. He's unbelievable. It's just nuts. Nuts. Let's go back to this 4th down picture via Sporting News. Josh Allen in this photo, short of the line to gain on 4th down with 13 minutes to go on the Kansas City, I believe it was like 35, something like that on the Kansas City side of the field. That play was not working all night long. That's my main point here. If you watch this game, there was numerous times that there was short yardage situation. I'm talking within 2 yards or less, usually 1.5 yards, a yard, whatever it is, where they go hurry up, they snap the ball. It's a sneak, but it wasn't executed like a sneak. It was more of a Josh Allen gets the ball and just kind of dives. It wasn't like a push. It was maybe an attempted push. It was not executed like a push whatsoever. And they tried this play multiple times throughout this game. And once they lined up in this formation again, I was questioning it for sure. Absolutely. I go, here we go again. Earlier in the game, Allen third down, didn't get it. Allen fourth down, didn't get it. This the play wasn't working, and they kept going for it. And I understand it's super short yard. Maybe try something else here, Buffalo. I don't know. But another takeaway from this game that's not hugely talked about was that this play did not work all night long. And it blew me away because when it didn't work earlier in the game, they gave the ball to James Cook. And James Cook found the end zone. I'm not hating the call. I'm just saying it didn't work all night. Why do it again? And I get it because it is short yardage. But James Cook is your guy back there. He's a mini bowling ball. He has the ability to lower the shoulder. He also has the ability to juke very well if he wanted to out in space. However, which way you wanted to go about it, I get it's short yard distance, but this play was not working all night for Buffalo. And so looking back at this, I thought he got there. I thought first glance he got there. I still think he got to the line to gain, and I still think it should have been a first down. Personal opinion. But that play wasn't working all night long. And so there's no excuses there, in my personal opinion. I thought they should have ran a little bit of a different play, different look. Yet again, though, I do believe it was a first down. Does that change the game? It does. I'm not going to say that's why the Bills lost. Because, you make that line of gain clearly, then there's not even a conversation about this. So, again, I thought he got there. The refs did not, even after review. And that play just didn't have success. And in this type of game, if you're not able to pick up that 1 yard, do you deserve to win the game at that moment? In a big moment like that with 13 to go in the fourth? Apparently not, unfortunately. So, all right. Getting a little bit deeper into the statisticals of this game. Is that a word? The stats? Just whatever you want to say. All of the stats in this game were extremely close, looking back at it. Time of possession was like not even a minute separated. Rushing yards were like not even 20 yards separated. Passing yards weren't even like 25, 30 yards separated. Turnovers, only 1-0. Flags, only one more flag by Buffalo than Kansas City. All of the stats, if you go look back at this full stat sheet on ESPN or wherever you want to go look, I mean, they are neck and neck. Basically as close as you can get in a game that didn't even go to overtime. This is what the championship games are about. This is what it comes down to is who, under the bright lights, and it's always Mahomes as it seems, will come out on top in a game that is back and forth. Excellent teams going head to head. This is what it's all about. And these stats blew me away, actually, when I saw them on how statistically close they were. It wasn't like, oh, the Chiefs ran for 100 more yards than the Bills. That's why they won. It wasn't like, oh, it was 3-0 turnover ratio. That's why the Chiefs won. No. None of that. None of that. Everything was close. TOP, penalties, rushing yards, passing yards, all of it was very, very close. And that's what was so great about this game. That's what's so great about this rivalry is that it seems to always come down to the very last play, the very last possession. Most of the time with these two teams, which is just phenomenal for the game. It's phenomenal for the AFC, not phenomenal for Bills fans as they move to 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. All right, let's start to wrap things up here. Let's talk about the blitz. If you aren't watching live, I got the picture of the fourth down play, and I got the picture of Mahomes' game-winning pass, Samaje Perine, game sealing, I should say. Blitz on fourth down was nuts. I've seen debates all over social media saying they could have picked it up. Josh Allen could have called it different protection. I'm seeing other people saying, no, he could not have. I'm seeing Ben Solak say, Josh Allen should have hit this guy. Bruh. That's my response to that. Should I make a graphic and just say, my response, bruh. The dude had half a second to throw that football, and he put it in the hands of Dalton Kincaid. Drop. It's classic. Is it the voodoo magic underneath the stadium? It might just be. What a ballsy call from Steve Spagnuolo. Year in and year out, Steve Spagnuolo continues to show the NFL that he is not only the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, he may be one of the best coaches given any category in the NFL, defensive, offensive, special teams, whatever. He always creates different looks and different schemes when the moment is brightest, and he executes to the highest degree. And calling a blitz like this on fourth down, game on the line, season at risk in the AFC Championship, and executing like he did, how ballsy is that? That's just nuts. That's trusting your guy. It's Andy Reid trusting in Spagnuolo. It's Spagnuolo knowing what the hell he's doing. I mean, he's been there, done that so many times. And yet again, he succeeds. Just a tremendous play. One of the craziest plays of the entire season, obviously. Blitzing like that, 4th and 5. Allen just chucking it up. Kincaid, tough catch, but still catchable. Very much catchable. Through the hands. Unbelievable play. And then, as you see at the bottom of the screen there, Patrick Mahomes. Call to win the game was nuts as well. Andy Reid dialing it up. I mean, just the combo of Reid and Spagnuolo, it doesn't get any better. It's a clinic of NFL football, professional football to the highest degree. When game on the line, you need it most. On defense, you blitz. On offense, third down, instead of guaranteeing a running clock by running the football, what do? Pass to who? Your second string running back in the flat. What a call. I mean, that to me, that seems like a crazy call because most people would say before this play happens, run the ball. Take the clock, guarantee that you take that 40 seconds off, whatever it is, 35, 40, whatever. Make sure you hit the field goal. Bills got 20 seconds. It's going to be whatever. They're not Mahomes with 13 seconds. Drop back, throw that pass, and pick up the first. I was blown away. And that leads me to my last point here. That's Kansas City football. Great teams always find a way to win. Better yet, great coaches usually always find a way to win. But the great teams in football always find a way to win. And the Chiefs have been doing that all damn season. And to most of us NFL fans, it's been annoying. But you also have to witness it as greatness because it won't be here forever. And as hard as it is to watch them be so good, you always want the top of the food chain to fall down. Always want the king to be the crown to be taken, right? They're damn good. And good football teams and with good cultures and good atmospheres and good coaching staffs and phenomenal talent. I mean, they just find a way to win more often than not and sometimes always. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are that and more. They move on. Their third straight Super Bowl. We'll see if they can do it. Again, they defeat Buffalo 32-29. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water here. Ice cold water tonight. Again, voice coming back slowly but surely. Hopefully it sounds better than it did last week. Appreciate everybody tuning in. All right, you know what game we're talking about next. That was the AFC Championship analysis and takeaways. Let's dive into it. NFC Championship score 55-23. Eagles rout the Commanders in Philadelphia, winning the NFC Championship and advancing to their second Super Bowl in 3 years, a rematch from 2 years ago, Eagles versus Chiefs in the bowl in NOLA. Let's take a look at the stat sheet here. Jaden Daniels, 29 of 48. Or was it Jaden McDaniels? We'll talk about that later. CJ Gardner-Johnson. 29 of 48, 255, 1 TD, 1 pick. Jaden Daniels also led the team in rushing. 6 carries, 48 yards, and a tutty. Zach Ertz having a career day against his former team. 11 receptions for 104 yards. Playoff Zach. Showing what he does best. On the other side of the ball with 55 points. Jalen Hurts, 20 of 28, 246, 1 touchdown. Wait, Swank, 1 touchdown? That can't be right. You're right. 4 total for Jalen Hurts. He had 3 rushing on the day. Saquon Barkley, my MVP, my player of the year, my offensive player of the year, my favorite running back right now, outside of Joe Mixon, probably. Um, and I think the best running back in the NFL, 15 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns. My God, he's so good. AJ Brown, 6 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown as well. Wow. Just wow. All right. Initial takeaways looking at this stat sheet. Biggest one for me by far for the Commanders is Jaden Daniels leading the team in rushing with 48 rushing yards. They got absolutely outrushed in this game. And I understand part of that was due to them being down in the game. But you cannot have your quarterback leading in rushing yards and expect to win a game, especially in the playoffs, especially on the road. Can't happen. 48 yards from Daniels leading the team on the ground. That's my biggest takeaway here. Can't happen from the stat sheet that I'm showing. Other side of the ball, biggest takeaway. I mean, you know what I'm about to say. It's the ground attack. It's the dual threat attack of Barkley and Hurts, mobility, being able to use their legs to the highest degree in the biggest game of the season at their home stadium, running the ball wherever the hell they wanted to. The Commanders could have had 13 players out there, and they were not stopping Saquon Barkley in open space. They weren't stopping Hurts from scrambling. Those few yards that he got, he only had 18 rushing yards, I believe, whatever it was, 16 yards. They weren't stopping him. I mean, if Barkley looked to be almost, quote, load managed, I don't know. They were getting whatever they wanted on the ground all game long. It looked easy for them. And the Commanders' run defense has been a problem all year. Probably one of their biggest issues on defense was their run game. And we mentioned last week here on this show, Barkley's rushing line. And if the Commanders could limit him a little bit, what would that do to the rest of the game? Could Hurts step up and throw, right? If Barkley was to be limited. Two things there. One, Barkley was not limited in the run game at all. Couldn't be stopped. Two, Hurts used his legs tremendously as well. So basically stopping two running backs at once there with their size and their speed, impossible with the way the Commanders were playing defense. So unbelievable for the Eagles. My first main point is Barkley again. If you tuned in last week, I said the exact same thing. I mean, he's just unbelievably talented. And I'll say it week after week. He deciding to move away from the Giants and go to Philly was obviously the best decision he's ever made. And he's put into situations and an organization that has led them to not thrive, but absolutely succeed and blow the roof off the place. He is phenomenal to watch. He's an athlete. He's a great guy. And I look forward to watching him next Sunday in the Super Bowl on his birthday. That's right. It's going to be his birthday, 28th birthday. And I expect him to go off. I expect him to do his thing. Maybe not necessarily go off. I expect him to do his thing and get what he wants, because that's the type of football player he is, and a system that understands how to utilize a player like that. That is Saquon Barkley for you. Hurts on the ground made it hurt. A little cheesy, but I thought it was good. Only 16 yards again, but 3 rushing touchdowns. Another massive takeaway from this game. Hurts his ability to get outside the pocket and pile it in when he needed to. Huge takeaway from this game. Jalen Hurts silenced the haters a little bit. 246 on the ground, through the air. 1 TD, no picks, 28-28. I'll take that. I'll take that from you, Jalen, all day long. No turnover. Great. 246, Tuddy. Great. Fine by me. I would have just said, if I saw that stat line, take away the 3 rushing touchdowns, I would have said, Eagles still win that game. If Hurts puts up 1 touchdown, I see Barkley with 3, I say Eagles absolutely still win that game. He did what he needed to do, plus way more. He made the Eagles feel comfortable. He showed his veteran leadership on that team now. He looks like he can now lead this team to a Super Bowl victory. Versus 2 years ago, you saw it. Was it quite there? I don't know. Still early, still young. This is now I would say veteran quarterback who understands what he needs to do to win games when it comes down to it. And maybe that answer is using his legs. And I think it is. And I think it has been. But it's fully there now with a team that has a 1-2 punch. It's not just him having to run the ball or him having to do it all on the ground. I mean, you got Barkley back there. They're more worried about him than anybody. You could take off yourself, keep it, run it in. So Hurts made it hurt. Barkley's that guy. I mean, here's the little graphic I made. 6 combined rushing touchdowns between the two of them, between Barkley and Hurts. I feel like that's got to be a record. Maybe not. Regardless, your quarterback and your running back combining for 6 rushing touchdowns, I'm almost left speechless. Unbelievable performance from these two. That is why they put up 55 points. 55 points, by the way, in the NFC Championship. Any conference championship game, most since the 1970 merger. They had 7 total rushing touchdowns on the day. Will Shipley got one. Little boy from Clemson. Also had a forced fumble in the game. That leads me to my next point, by the way. 4 turnovers committed by the Washington Commanders. So the Eagles, 0. I mean, the stat sheet, very different from the Bills-Chiefs game. You look at that stat sheet, you go, I don't know who won this game. Look at this stat sheet. It's very evident how and who won this game. The rushing touchdowns, obviously. The turnovers, of course. 4-0, can't have it in the NFC Championship. You're never going to win a championship game committing 4 turnovers to their 0. It will never happen. Eckler had one. Daniels threw a pick. Tommy Brown had one. Jeremy McNichols had one on a kickoff. It's inexcusable. And this Commanders team is so talented still, but overall, they're young, given their franchise and where they're at right now with a new owner, new coach, rookie quarterback, new pieces. They're new. And I expect turnovers from a team that's still new and still relatively young, quote unquote. I just didn't expect 4. I didn't expect 4, and you can't win a championship game against on the road in Philly, turning the ball over 4 times. Can't happen. You just can't allow it. The Eagles had 229 rushing yards. The Commanders, I think I mentioned earlier, didn't even hit 100. 99. So they had 99 total rushing yards. Daniels had 48 of those and led the team. Again, getting outrushed by 140 yards, 130 yards, whatever it is. You're usually not going to win that game, right? All of these stats are starting to stack up in a very noticeable way when you lose by 32 points in the NFC Championship. So turnovers, major issue. Couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't run the ball. I mean, all of these things are just glaring as to why they lost. But the very start of the game, you go back and you look at it. 18-play opening drive by the Washington Commanders. If you watch this drive, it was methodical. It was picking up 4th downs. It was making smart decisions. It was quick passes. It was easy completions. It was, I'll take what you're going to give me. It was all of it. 18 plays, you go down the field to open up the game, get a field goal out of it. At least you get some points. Sadly, not a touchdown, but you get some points from it. Tremendous job by the Commanders. And what do they do the next drive? Anybody know? Yeah, they fumble. So you get that great momentum of a drive. Even though it's not even a touchdown, it doesn't matter. Your confidence is probably near an all-time high, being able to march down the field, pick up the 4th downs, do whatever you want up to an extent before the end zone, and you fumble. Can't have it. You can't have fumbles, obviously. You can't have it on the second possession after that drive they had, after the Barkley first play touchdown, when you need to go silence the crowd yet again. You can't fumble there. That one play to Barkley, the dude is just a freak. He's such an athlete. You needed to go down the field. It didn't even matter if you scored there. Oh my God, excuse me. It did not matter if you scored on the second drive. It did matter if you at least had a drive. They couldn't do it. They fumbled. Can't have that happen. And, referring back to last week, I mentioned, can the Commanders extend long drives like they did in similar fashion against the Lions? And to an extent in this game, they did a few times. And those drives were great. But outside of the few long drives, oh, I mean, the pick. It was short drive. It was 5 plays, 6 plays. I mean, I could go on and on. It just can't happen in these types of games. These turnovers were just absolutely costly, which leads to short possessions, which leads to losing time of possession, which all factors into a road team underdog needing to win. You need to control the clock. You need to control the ball. You're not playing clean football, turning over the football, obviously. And when you're extending drives and having long drives, you're owning the time of possession, you're ticking that clock, and you're playing clean football. There's a thumbs up. Thank you, Apple. They couldn't do it. Let's look at the last 4 possessions for the Commanders in this game. Take a quick sip of water here. Ice cold water. You just got to love it. Last 4 possessions for the Commanders in this game. Granted, they were down, right? So they're trying to force things maybe a little bit. But from the 4th to last drive, they were down 11 with, I believe, over 10 minutes to play. So they were probably forcing things and were scurrying around to try to score. They were not out of it by any means yet. Obviously, yet. Last 4 drives for the Commanders go like this. Fumble. Downs. Interception. Downs. And I understand you're trying to do probably too much, try to get back in the game too quick, doing anything to get back in it at this point. But that first, before that first fumble right there, the 4th to last possession, that fumble, you're down, I believe it was 11. The game wasn't fully out of reach. It was getting there. It was not fully out of reach. The last thing you could do is commit another turnover. And what do? They commit another turnover. Austin Eckler, fall off from grace. I understand he had a fine year. Remember him on the Chargers? Dude was a freaking beast. And then fumbles. Again, that's not saying his entire season was bad. He was a good player, had some injuries here and there, and went to the Commanders because it's only really seemed like the Chargers wanted nothing more to do with Eckler and kind of wanted a fresh start, it seemed. Had a solid season. Can't fumble in that moment, obviously. Fumble downs, interception downs. Can't have that to end the game. Sad way to end the season for the Commanders there. But that is how the cookie crumbles, especially against a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. Can't fumble the kickoff. Can't fumble on second possession in this game. Again, we went over it. Turnover is just a major factor here. Last point. We're going to wrap things up. The better team won. The better team clearly won this game. You don't even have to watch the game to know that if the Eagles won, the better team won. All season long, the Eagles were the better team. They had a much better running game. They had a more consistent team overall. They had a better offensive line, especially in this game with Cosme being out for the Commanders. The better team won this game, and the better team dominated as well. And with players like Barkley and A.J. Brown and Cooper DeJean on the back end, hard to beat. They're hard to beat, and you got to be not necessarily perfect, but you got to be close to it on the road in a championship game like this, and they just couldn't do it. That being said, the Commanders will be back. They'll be back, all right. Future's bright. Jayden Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dan Quinn, first year there. The future is unbelievably bright for this team, and I expect them to load up in the draft and in the offseason. I think they need a certified wide receiver 2 alongside McLaurin. I think they need work for sure at the linebacker unit. Bobby Wagner, who knows how many years he's got left. They have holes to fill, and they know that. And they made the NFC Championship regardless. And in the draft, they'll go load up. In the offseason, I think they'll load up. They'll make sure Daniels has the protection he needs, the weapons he needs. They'll go at it again. And I expect them to compete for the future to come in Washington. And they should be excited. And it's going to be a fun offseason for them. They're not going to have a lot of turnover, a lot of rollover. They're not going to lose too many guys. They're going to load up and get back in there. So great season. Hats off to the Commanders. And they'll be back. They'll be back. I'm excited to see what the Commanders do this offseason. You know who's not excited to see that? Long dramatic pause. CJ Gardner-Johnson. If you're not watching, I put up the quote, by the way. Here is what CJ Gardner Johnson had to say on Instagram Live after the game in his car. It looked like a car, a limo, whatever it was. Quote, Jaden McDaniels. Yeah, I said that right. He said Jaden McDaniels after just playing him. Quote, Jaden McDaniels, hell of a year, but sit your ass down and watch this blank from home. Cancun University. I made a TikTok about this the day after it happened. This is ruthless. I can't stand CJ Gardner Johnson. And I get it. You won. You can kind of talk your smack, talk whatever you want to talk. You won the football game. But Jaden McDaniels, what the hell are we doing here, bro? This is the offensive rookie of the year. We both know you know his name. We both know you know his name damn well. Because he's also in your division. And he's going to be around in the NFL for a long time, competing against you and probably beating you soon. This is ruthless, though. Jaden McDaniels, hell of a year, but sit your ass down and watch this from home. Cancun University. I had to just include this. This is funny, stupid, and classless from CJ Gardner Johnson. Hey, there's people out there saying he can, he won, he can talk whatever he wants to talk. Personally, I'm not one that would do this. I wouldn't want to see a guy on my team doing this. Jaden McDaniels, the disrespect. You don't think Jaden Daniels is going to come back next year and remember that? Oh, he'll remember that. He will definitely remember that. He's got that bookmarked. Daniels, if you want to use this graphic, I'll post it for you. Save it to your bookmarks. You'll use it next year for motivation. Unbelievable. But hats off. Great season to the Commanders. Exceeding expectations. Eagles make the Super Bowl again and defeat the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship. All right. Last slide I got here for you. Next week, you will not want to miss it. The Super Bowl 59 episode. I want to bring Burns on to talk about it. We're going to do deep dive, predictions, analysis, matchup, injuries, the whole works. We're going to be live again. You don't want to miss this one at all. Going to be our best episode yet. Super Bowl 59, the Swank Tank, episode 3. You just don't want to miss it. It's going to be great, guys. Tune in live. Get all the Super Bowl information and matchup stuff. All of it. Be here for it. Tune in. You won't want to miss it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I will recap with the bets I liked last week because I take accountability for what I'm putting out there. Money line for the Eagles, bang. Commanders +6, did not happen. Money line for the Bills against the Chiefs, so close, did not happen. Over in the Commanders-Eagles game, that hit. I went 2 of 4, 50%. We'll take 50% if we're betting. I'll take it. We're going 50%. First Swank Banks, we're good. We're good. Swank Banks will be back next week for the Super Bowl. Obviously, probably some props, some halftime show stuff. We'll have that included in there. It's going to be fun. But again, don't want to miss the Super Bowl episode on Thursday before the Super Bowl. Appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody listening. If you're watching on YouTube Live, watching on YouTube later, seeing some clips, listening on Spotify, whatever you're doing, I appreciate you so much. Make sure to follow all the socials. You can find me anywhere at the Swank Tank on TikTok, the Swank Tank on Instagram. My Twitter is just Ryan Swankowski. Can't miss it. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Everybody have a great weekend. No football on, sadly, but next weekend again, Super Bowl 59, the episode next Thursday. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great